Welcome to Empathy Stories, where everyday acts of kindness lead to extraordinary transformations. Today, we explore the heartfelt journey of Sarah Thompson, a compassionate woman who opens her home to a homeless veteran, uncovering a story of love, resilience, and unexpected family reunions. Let's dive in. Maplewood, Illinois, nestled quietly between rolling fields and whispering woods, was a town where everyone knew each other's names and faces. The winter chill had settled deeply, frosting the windows of cozy homes and painting the landscape in stark whites and silvers. On one particularly frigid night, as snowflakes danced lazily in the air, Sarah Thompson walked briskly down the deserted park path that skirted her home. Her steps were purposeful, each one echoing her unwavering kindness and the warmth that defined her spirit. Sarah, a middle-aged woman with a heart as vast as the open sky, had always been the cornerstone of her small community. Widowed years earlier, she had dedicated herself to raising her son, David, with unwavering love and resilience. Her days were filled with work at the local diner, where her gentle demeanor and infectious smile made her a beloved figure among regular patrons. Yet, beneath her calm exterior lay a profound empathy, a trait that often led her to extend her hand to those in need without a second thought. That evening, as she passed the park bench illuminated by a lone, flickering street lamp, Sarah's gaze met that of a man huddled against the cold. He was a homeless black man, his clothes threadbare and his frame frail from months of enduring the harsh winter nights. His name was Marcus, a war veteran whose presence in the park was a silent testament to battles fought both abroad and within his own mind. Something about his weary posture and the haunted look in his eyes struck a deep chord within Sarah, reminding her painfully of her own brother, Michael, who had vanished years ago, leaving her with an enduring ache of loss. Compelled by an overwhelming sense of compassion, Sarah approached Marcus with a warm, reassuring smile. "Hi there," she greeted softly, her voice carrying the gentle authority of someone who had seen enough hardship to know the value of kindness. "Are you all right? It's freezing out here." Marcus looked up, his eyes meeting hers with a mixture of suspicion and gratitude. The nights had taught him to be wary, to shield his vulnerabilities from the world that had turned its back on him. Yet, there was something in Sarah's demeanor, a sincerity, an unspoken promise of safety, that made him hesitate before nodding slowly. "I'm okay, ma'am," he replied, his voice rough from days without proper care. Without another word, Sarah extended her hand, inviting him to step into the warmth of her home. "Come with me," she offered. "You could take a warm shower and have something to eat. It's the least I can do." Marcus's defenses faltered under her genuine kindness. The cold night air seemed to lift slightly as he accepted her offer, standing with a newfound hope flickering in his tired eyes. Sarah led him to her modest two-bedroom house, a sanctuary adorned with personal touches that spoke of love and resilience. She prepared a hot bath for him, her movements efficient yet filled with care, and laid out clean clothes that had once belonged to her late husband, a silent tribute to the love that still lingered in their home. As Marcus bathed, Sarah decided to run to the local market for more groceries, leaving her home in the hands of her guest. The house was usually a place of peace, but today it felt like a haven threatened by an invisible storm. Minutes later, the sound of a police siren pierced the night, and a police car pulled up outside her home, its lights casting an urgent glow on the snow-covered driveway. Heart racing, Sarah hurried back inside, finding two officers speaking with Marcus near the entrance. The situation had taken an unexpected and tense turn. "What's going on here?" Sarah demanded, her voice steady despite the panic rising in her chest. One of the officers, a tall man with a stern expression, turned to her. "Mrs. Thompson, we received a call from a concerned neighbor about a stranger in your home. We need to verify his identity." Indignant and protective, Sarah stepped forward, placing herself between the officers and Marcus. "He's a guest. I invited him in because he needed help. He's homeless and alone. Please, there's no reason to arrest him." The officers exchanged a brief glance, sensing the sincerity in Sarah's defense. They began to question Marcus, who struggled to explain his presence without revealing too much about his past. It became clear that there had been a misunderstanding, a lapse in judgment by a neighbor who didn't know the true nature of Sarah's generosity. Realizing their mistake, the officers apologized and left, their departure marked by a mixture of relief and lingering concern. Once they were alone, Marcus turned to Sarah, his eyes reflecting a tumult of emotions. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "I didn't know what else to do." Sarah reached out, her hand gently squeezing his shoulder. "You're safe now. Let's get you some warmth and a meal." As they settled back into the rhythm of the evening, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Marcus's story. Later, as they sat together in the kitchen sharing a simple, hearty meal, Marcus began to open up. His voice trembled as he revealed the depths of his trauma, how his experiences as a war veteran had led him to lose everything he held dear. The horrors he had faced abroad had eroded his sense of self, leaving him adrift and invisible in a society that seemed to have forgotten him. Moved by his vulnerability, Sarah felt a profound empathy swell within her. She realized that Marcus's presence in her home was not just a fleeting act of kindness, but a pivotal moment in both their lives. Determined to help him reclaim his dignity and rebuild his life, Sarah pledged to support Marcus in every way she could. She assisted him in seeking treatment for his trauma, connecting him with local veterans support groups, and helping him find a job that could offer stability and purpose. As the days turned into weeks, the bond between Sarah and Marcus deepened. The small acts of generosity and unwavering support began to heal wounds that had long festered in silence. Maplewood watched as Sarah transformed her home into a place of refuge and hope, inspiring others to look beyond appearances and extend their own hands to those in need. In helping Marcus, Sarah rediscovered a sense of purpose and a reminder of the unbreakable strength of the human spirit. Little did Sarah know, the act of opening her heart to Marcus was just the beginning of a journey that would not only transform their lives, but also ripple through their community, fostering a culture of empathy, understanding, and profound connection. As winter gradually gave way to the first whispers of spring in Maplewood, the atmosphere in Sarah Thompson's home began to shift from one of cautious hospitality to a sanctuary of healing and connection. The bond between Sarah and Marcus, forged in a single act of compassion, deepened with each passing day. Their once quiet evenings were now filled with shared moments of understanding and mutual support, each finding solace in the presence of the other. Marcus, who had arrived at Sarah's doorstep shivering and desolate, was slowly beginning to shed the layers of trauma that had kept him isolated and withdrawn. Sarah's unwavering kindness provided him with a safe space to confront his pain. Together, they established a daily routine that balanced structure with empathy. Mornings began with hearty breakfasts, where Sarah would prepare nourishing meals while Marcus shared snippets of his past, his voice gradually gaining strength as he recounted stories of camaraderie and loss from his time as a war veteran. One particularly bright afternoon, as sunlight streamed through the kitchen windows, Sarah stumbled upon an old, dusty photo album tucked away in a corner of her closet. The album, a relic from happier times, held pictures of her and her late brother, David, who had vanished years ago under mysterious circumstances. Her fingers traced the faded images, each one a painful reminder of the void his absence had created in her life. She sat down at the dining table, the weight of her memories pressing down on her heart. Marcus, sensing her unease, approached quietly and sat beside her. "Found something special?" he asked gently, his eyes reflecting genuine concern. Sarah nodded, her voice barely above a whisper. "This was David's. We used to take these photos together before he disappeared. Every time I see someone struggling on the streets, I think of him." Marcus looked at the photograph, a young David beaming with joy beside Sarah. His expression softened, and a silent understanding passed between them. "I'm so sorry you lost him," he said, his voice thick with emotion. Have you tried looking for him? Maybe he's still out there somewhere. Sarah sighed, her eyes filling with tears. I've searched everywhere, but it's been years. I never imagined I'd see him again. Determined not to let another person slip through the cracks of society, Marcus placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. If there's anything I can do to help, I will. We can find him together. Encouraged by his offer, Sarah felt a renewed sense of hope. She couldn't do this alone anymore. Together, they began to strategize a plan to locate David. Their first step was to visit the local shelters, places where David might have sought refuge during his years of homelessness. Sarah contacted a few organizations, explaining her brother's situation and requesting any information that could lead to his whereabouts. Days turned into weeks as they tirelessly pursued leads, visiting shelters, speaking with social workers, and putting up posters around town. The search was arduous, filled with moments of frustration and fleeting glimmers of hope. Throughout this journey, Sarah and Marcus's bond strengthened. They became each other's pillars of support, sharing stories of loss and resilience, and finding comfort in their shared experiences of navigating life's darkest moments. One rainy afternoon, their persistence paid off. At a downtown shelter, they met a woman who recognized David from the photos Sarah had shown her. "Yes, I know him," she said cautiously. "He's been here for a few months, but he's been struggling with his health and hasn't been up for visits." Without hesitation, Sarah and Marcus rushed to the shelter, their hearts pounding with anticipation. They found David lying in a small, dimly lit room, his once vibrant eyes now clouded with exhaustion and pain. The sight of him brought an overwhelming surge of emotions. Sarah stepped forward, tears streaming down her face, while Marcus offered a comforting presence beside her. "David," Sarah whispered, her voice breaking as she reached out to him. "It's me, Sarah. We're here now." David slowly lifted his head, his eyes meeting Sarah's with a mixture of confusion and recognition. "Sarah," he croaked, his voice weak but unmistakably her brother's. They embraced tightly, the years of separation and sorrow melting away in that moment of reunion. Tears of joy and relief flowed freely as the siblings held each other, their hearts finally mending the long-standing wounds of loss. Marcus watched with a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that his actions had not only helped a stranger, but had also facilitated a long-awaited reunion for a grieving sister and her lost brother. The emotional weight of the moment was palpable, but it was also a testament to the transformative power of empathy and human connection. In the days that followed, David's health began to improve with the care and support he received from Sarah and Marcus. He started attending therapy sessions to address his trauma, and with Sarah's encouragement, he began to open up about his experiences. Marcus, inspired by their success in bringing David back, continued to work on rebuilding his own life, finding purpose in helping others who were navigating similar struggles. Meanwhile, Sarah and Marcus saw their lives stabilize. Marcus secured a job at a local community center, where his experiences and compassion made him an invaluable asset in supporting other veterans and the homeless. Sarah, buoyed by the return of her brother and the newfound stability in her household, continued her efforts to help those in need, driven by the profound lessons she had learned through her acts of kindness. The trio, Sarah, Marcus, and David, formed a new family unit, bound not by blood alone, but by shared experiences of loss, resilience, and the unwavering belief in the possibility of redemption. Their story began to resonate throughout Maplewood, inspiring others to reach out and extend their own acts of kindness. It became a beacon of hope, demonstrating that even in the bleakest of circumstances, love and empathy could illuminate a path to healing and transformation. As spring fully arrived, bringing with it the promise of renewal, Sarah reflected on the journey they had undertaken. She realized that her decision to help Marcus had not only changed his life, but it also led to the reunification of her family. The bonds they had built were unbreakable, and the lessons they had learned about compassion, perseverance, and the enduring power of human connection would forever shape their lives. Spring had fully embraced Maplewood, breathing life into the once barren landscapes. Blossoms painted the town in vibrant hues, and the air carried the sweet scent of renewal. Sarah Thompson's home, now a beacon of hope alongside Marcus and David, stood as a testament to the transformative power of compassion and resilience. Their lives had intertwined in ways none could have anticipated, forging bonds that transcended past sorrows and present struggles. However, as with all stories of profound change, challenges loomed on the horizon. One crisp autumn afternoon, as golden leaves danced in the gentle breeze, a shadow fell over their newfound peace. A tall, imposing man named Victor walked into the local grocery store where Sarah worked. His presence was stark against the cheerful backdrop of the store, his demeanor cold and calculating. Victor had once been Marcus's partner, a man whose charm masked a heart steeped in corruption and deceit. Victor's eyes locked onto Sarah with an unsettling intensity. He approached the counter with deliberate steps, his voice devoid of warmth. "Sarah Thompson," he began, his tone authoritative. "We need to talk." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine, her heart pounding in her chest. She maintained her composure, masking her apprehension with a practiced smile. "Of course. Victor, how can I help you today?" Victor's smile was thin, his eyes gleaming with a mix of malice and determination. "I heard you've been helping Marcus," he stated bluntly. "I suggest you stop meddling in things you don't understand. Marcus is not someone you want to cross." Sarah's mind raced, the memories of Marcus's struggles and her own brother's disappearance intertwining with the present threat. "I'm just trying to help someone in need," she replied calmly. "There's nothing wrong with that." Victor leaned closer, his voice dropping to a menacing whisper. "You don't know what you're getting into. Stay out of my way, or things will get ugly." With that, Victor turned and left the store, his departure leaving behind an air of tension and fear. Sarah stood frozen for a moment, the weight of his warning pressing down on her. She knew Victor was dangerous, his past intertwined with Marcus's descent into homelessness and now their collective efforts to rebuild their lives. That evening, as the family gathered in the living room, Sarah shared the encounter with Marcus and David. Marcus's eyes darkened with concern, while David reached out to comfort his mother. Sensing her anxiety, "We can't let him intimidate us," Marcus declared, his voice steady despite the underlying fear. "We have to protect ourselves and continue what we're doing." Determined not to be cowed, Sarah and Marcus decided to take proactive measures. They approached the local police with their concerns, providing detailed information about Victor's history and his connection to Marcus. The police took their threats seriously, understanding the potential dangers involved. Protective measures were put in place, and an investigation into Victor's activities began, uncovering his extensive involvement in money laundering and extortion schemes that had left a trail of victims in his wake. As days turned into weeks, the tension in Maplewood remained palpable. Victor's ominous warnings echoed in Sarah's mind, a constant reminder of the precariousness of their situation. Yet, amidst the fear, a remarkable transformation was underway. The story of Sarah's generosity and Marcus's recovery had already inspired the community, fostering a spirit of empathy and solidarity that now faced its first true test. One chilly evening, as twilight settled over the town, Sarah, Marcus, and David convened to discuss their next steps. "We need to show Victor that we're not backing down," Sarah asserted, her voice resolute. "Our mission is bigger than his threats." Marcus nodded in agreement. "We've already changed our lives and David's. Let's take it a step further and make our impact even greater. If we can create something that truly benefits the community, Victor won't have the power to stop us." Inspired by their determination, they began planning the establishment of the Beacon of Hope, a community center dedicated to assisting the homeless and supporting veterans like Marcus. The vision was clear: a place where individuals could find shelter, receive counseling, and gain access to job training and educational resources. It was a dream born out of their own struggles and triumphs. a beacon guiding others toward a path of healing and redemption. With the police's backing and the community's support, Sarah and Marcus spearheaded the project. They held fundraisers, reached out to local businesses for donations, and mobilized volunteers who were eager to contribute to the cause. The town of Maplewood rallied around them, inspired by their unwavering commitment and the tangible difference they had already made in the lives of Sarah, Marcus, and David. Meanwhile, the investigation into Victor intensified. Evidence amassed against him was damning, revealing the full extent of his illicit operations. The community watched with bated breath as the authorities prepared to take him down, confident that justice would prevail. Sarah and Marcus found solace in knowing that their actions were not only protecting themselves, but also dismantling a network of corruption that had long plagued their town. The day Victor was arrested marked a turning point for Maplewood. The community breathed a collective sigh of relief, celebrating the downfall of a man who had cast a dark shadow over their lives. Sarah, Marcus, and David stood together, their bond stronger than ever, having faced their fears and emerged victorious. The beacon of hope began to take shape, its walls soon filled with warmth and the promise of a brighter future. As the community center opened its doors, it became a symbol of resilience and unity. Sarah oversaw the welcoming of new members. Marcus shared his story with other veterans, and David found purpose in organizing events that fostered a sense of belonging. The center thrived, its impact rippling outward, touching lives far beyond the confines of Maplewood. One sunny afternoon, as Sarah watched a group of veterans engage in a workshop, she reflected on the journey they had undertaken. From a simple act of kindness toward a homeless man to the establishment of a community center that embodied their shared values. Their lives had been irrevocably transformed. The lessons learned were profound. Love and empathy could bridge the deepest divides. And with determination, even the most daunting challenges could be overcome, inspiring others to embrace compassion and support. Sarah and Marcus became pillars of their community, their story a testament to the enduring power of human connection. The beacon of hope stood as a beacon, guiding those in need toward a future filled with promise and possibility. And as the seasons continued to change, so too did the lives of those who found refuge within its walls, forever grateful for the love and understanding that had set their journeys in motion. Their story was far from over. But one thing was certain: together, they had ignited a movement of empathy and change that would continue to uplift and inspire for generations to come. Thank you for joining us in witnessing Sarah, Marcus, and David's inspiring journey of compassion and redemption. Their story reminds us of the profound impact empathy and love can have on individuals and communities. If you found their tale moving, please like, share, and subscribe to Empathy Stories for more narratives that uplift and inspire. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your own stories of kindness and transformation in the comments below. Until next time, stay compassionate and hopeful.